What if the reason you cannot focus, cannot feel excited, cannot stay consistent, and cannot even recognize yourself anymore is not because you are lazy, weak, or broken, but because you are mentally drained? There is a difference between being tired and being emptied out from the inside. Sleep can fix tiredness. Rest can fix physical exhaustion. But mental drain is different. Mental drain follows you into the morning. It sits with you in silence. It steals your motivation before the day even begins. It makes simple things feel heavy, small tasks feel impossible, and your own life feel disconnected from the person you wanted to become. This is not ordinary tiredness. This is what happens when the mind has been carrying too much for too long. Most people do not realize how much they are holding until they start falling apart in quiet ways. They are smiling outside and collapsing inside. They are replying to people while ignoring themselves. They are showing up physically, but mentally, they are somewhere else completely. Thinking too much. Carrying memories they never healed from. Fighting pressure they never talk about. Trying to stay strong while slowly becoming emotionally numb. This is how mental drain works. It does not always destroy you loudly. Sometimes it drains your fire so slowly that by the time you notice it, you are already living without energy, without clarity, and without peace. The dangerous part is that mentally drained people often blame themselves. They call themselves lazy when they are overloaded. They call themselves weak when they are emotionally exhausted. They call themselves inconsistent when their mind has been running without recovery for months or even years. But a person cannot stay powerful when their thoughts never stop attacking them. A person cannot feel alive when their spirit is constantly under pressure. The mind is not built to carry endless fear, overthinking, disappointment, comparison, pain, and silent stress without consequence. At some point, it begins shutting down, not because you are worthless, but because you have been surviving too long without healing. That is why so many people feel tired even after sleeping. Their body rested, but their mind never did. Their thoughts were still racing. Their stress was still alive. Their emotional wounds were still open. And when the mind is exhausted, everything becomes harder. Discipline becomes harder. Focus becomes harder. Faith becomes harder. Even hope becomes harder. You start losing energy for things that once mattered to you. You stop feeling connected to your goals. You begin moving through life like a machine, doing what you have to do while feeling less and less like yourself. That is not just burnout. That is inner depletion. Mental drain also changes the way you see life. It makes everything look heavier than it is. Small setbacks feel personal. Delays feel like failure. Silence feels like rejection. Responsibility feels like punishment. You stop responding with strength and start reacting from exhaustion. That is when people begin making emotional decisions, losing control of their habits, isolating themselves, or giving up too early, not because they were not capable, but because their inner battery was already empty. And an empty mind cannot fight like a full one. This is why protecting your mental energy is not weakness. It is survival. But here is the turning point. Being mentally drained does not mean you are finished. It means something inside you needs attention. It means your mind is asking for truth. Truth about what is hurting you. Truth about what is draining you. Truth about what you keep tolerating that is killing your peace. Sometimes your exhaustion is not coming from work. It is coming from overthinking. Sometimes it is not coming from effort. It is coming from emotional chaos. Sometimes it is not coming from life being too hard. It is coming from you carrying things that were never meant to live in your mind this long. And the first step toward getting your power back is admitting that your mind is tired in a way sleep alone cannot fix. Real recovery begins when you stop treating yourself like a machine and start protecting yourself like someone valuable. You need silence. You need mental boundaries. You need distance from things that constantly poison your peace. You need to stop feeding your mind fear every day and then expecting confidence to grow there. You need to stop calling constant stress normal. You need to stop normalizing inner chaos. A strong life cannot be built on a drained mind. And the strongest people are not the ones who ignore their mental state forever. They are the ones who recognize the damage early enough to rebuild themselves before life forces them to break. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause and admit that you have been carrying too much. Not to become weak, but to become honest. Because honesty is where healing starts. Once you know what is draining you, you can finally begin cutting it off. Once you see what is stealing your energy, you can stop feeding it. Once you realize your mind has been overloaded, you can stop hating yourself for not performing at your best. This is where your comeback begins. Not by pretending to be fine, not by forcing fake positivity, but by rebuilding your clarity, your peace, and your mental strength one honest step at a time. So, if you have been feeling lost, numb, unmotivated, or disconnected lately, maybe you are not failing. Maybe you are just mentally drained. Maybe your mind has been carrying silent battles nobody sees. Maybe your soul is asking for recovery, not self-hate. Listen carefully to that truth. Because once you stop blaming yourself and start rebuilding yourself, everything begins to change. Your energy returns. Your focus returns. Your discipline returns. And most importantly, you begin to feel like yourself again. If this message hit deep, subscribe to Next Level Mind for more powerful, dramatic, and life-changing motivation. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are mentally drained, and you can still rise again.